Welcome to Chicago Public Library's Art Beyond Borders with Amanda Zagloba from the Harold Washington Library Arts and Music Department. This program is part of the One Book, One Chicago 2020 season, exploring the theme Beyond Borders and the book Exit West by Mohsen Hamid. Welcome to Chicago Public Library's Art Beyond Borders. I'm Amanda Zagloba with the Harold Washington Library Arts and Music Department. Today we're going to be making these lovely Moroccan lamps out of mason jars. I'm going to discuss a little bit about Moroccan art before we start. It is a combination of multiple art forms, including the native Berber peoples as well as Arabic and European styles. It typically uses geometric or kaleidoscope designs, as well as a scroll-like vine type of design called an arabesque. So today we have a few materials that we're going to need. You'll need mason jars, obviously, or any kind of jar. You can reuse anything from your foodstuffs as well. Make sure it is completely clean before using it. And then you'll also need a paint for the inside of the jars, and we'll discuss some different options you can use for that a little bit later, as well as a paintbrush and gold puff paint. And you can use fabric paint for this, it will stick. You'll also need to make sure that your workspace has something on it. I have taped down some paper to make sure my workspace is clean, and I also have some paper towels to clean up any mess that I have. So the first thing we'll need to do is we'll need to paint our clean jars. You have a number of options for this. You can use just plain watered down craft paint if you would like. Just make sure you only go over it once. That way you don't end up with too many streaks. You can also, if you have Mod Podge, you can mix Mod Podge with a little bit of food coloring as well, and to get more of a beach glass type of look to your piece. You can also use glass paint that can be purchased from arts and craft supply stores as well. Make sure whatever brush you're going to be using is one that you don't mind getting stained, because it will end up whatever color your glass paint is. So you're going to paint the entire inside of your jar. You do want to be careful if your jar does have any like nooks or crannies on the inside, or if it folds over, you may want a Q-tip to just get into that area. But you'll just take a little bit of your glass paint and just paint the inside, and be careful not to have too many streaks. You'll want to take and cover the entire inside of the jar. I do like to get the bottom just for continuity as well, so the whole jar is colored. So I'm not going to color the entire jar today because we do have some that are finished and waiting for us. So when you've finished your jar, you'll want to follow, if you use glass paint, you'll want to follow whatever the instructions are for curing the glass paint. Sometimes you might have to take and let it dry and then cure it in the oven. Other times you can just let it sit. If you use Mod Podge or craft paint, once it's dry, you're all set. So then you're going to take your puff paint, and you're going to apply whatever design you decide you would like to do. Like I said, Moroccan designs typically tend toward geometric and kaleidoscopic type designs, or vine-like arabesques. You can also, if you have stencils that you particularly like to use, you can use those as well for this project. You can also just use dots, and then just do a bunch of dots to give it more texture. If you want to cover more space, you'll want an extra craft brush, and then you can just apply your paint and use the brush to cover wider surfaces. That'll give it more of a texture as well, depending on how much paint you add. So I'm just going to make a little triangle with dots. And then once you have your design, you'll want to let it sit for approximately 24 hours, just to make sure everything's dry before you use it. And if you want to make it a little bit more special, you can leave the craft paint off of the rim around your jar. And you can actually use nails to punch holes in the top. So when you put your tea light in, you'll have extra shapes coming out of your mason jar. So when your design has been cured and everything's added, you'll end up with a lovely mason jar lantern for your home. That's it for this episode, but stay tuned for more Art Beyond Borders, as well as dozens of other virtual events, reading recommendations, blogs, and more throughout the One Book, One Chicago 2020 season. For more information, visit onebookonechicago.org for details. See you next time.